everyone, Violet here, and today we're going to be looking at this upcoming moon cycle. So for many months now, I have been doing a moon reading for the new moon and the full moon, and they were separate videos, but for this, I'm thinking this new year, what I want to do, and I'm going to start with this video, is do a reading for the whole moon cycle, and it's going to include the new moon reading, kind of looking at the first half, the building up of the cycle, and then also include a separate spread, the full moon spread, for the second half of the cycle. So it's still going to have everything in it, but we're going to do it all at once, and we're going to look forward for the whole moon cycle, essentially. I almost said month, but I was like, it's not, it's a similar time amount as the month, but it's not, doesn't line up. And I actually, let me know if you all do this, but I have separate goals for the calendar month that I do for the moon cycle. I actually make separate intentions for those. So yeah. All right, so we're gonna begin with the new moon, which is gonna be on the 10th, January 10th, and it is under Capricorn in tropical astrology and Sagittarius in Vedic or sidereal. So I was thinking about this this idea of, really what I was thinking of for the spread is a volcano, like this earth meets fire, but the fire inside of, so we're going to create sort of we're going to use one of, oh, I grabbed the wrong deck. I'm going to have to grab the right deck. We're going to use a Dragonfey Oracle, which I often use for fire energy, inside of essentially a mountain. We're going to create a mountain with the Green Witch Tarot, and it's this potential energy. And this is we're still at the darkest time of the year if you're in the Northern Hemisphere. And to me, although we're setting probably New Year intentions and goals around this time, it's also around the time of my birthday. It's on the 14th. So, yeah. Basically, even though we're setting these intentions and we're going to start kind of working with that energy, the real kind of oomph behind it and energy behind it doesn't necessarily really kick in until I would say the springtime. So I'm thinking of this fire energy being within the mountain, being this potential energy, being this driving force, being this this sense of direction that we get from Sagittarius, this inspiration and this purpose. And then really what we're doing is we're working with the earth energy of Capricorn, of this mountain of discipline, of building things up, and the volcano is going to erupt really in the springtime. So we're looking at Aries, the next time we go into the fire season, which would be Aries. That will be the time of eruption. So right now we're working with the potential energy, and the train is going by. So I'm going to grab the right deck, and I will set out our first spread, which is going to kind of set the tone for this whole moon cycle, because it is the new moon. And yeah, oh, and I should also mention that this year what I'm going to do as well is do the moon cycle, do the moon specific tarot spreads on live stream, both on YouTube and on Twitch is my plan. And so they're going to be on weekdays right around the moons, so the new moon and the full moon. And so if you want to get one of these personal for yourself, you can check out those live streams. All right, let's get this spread out. All right, so before we create the mountain around the volcano, I wanted to actually start with looking at what the potential energy is. And we pulled from the Dragonfey Oracle, Chen Guang, if I'm saying that right, be light of heart. And we have this dragon. We also have this very balanced energy with what feels sort of an inspiring circular motion, and almost what looks kind of like wings, being lifted up. And I wonder if what's coming to mind just immediately from looking at this is if we almost have this anticipation of heaviness. And I wonder if this was important to look at before looking at all of the earth energy for this reason, Because in actuality, like, yes, we might be dealing with like very concrete, like, problems that we're gonna have to problem solve through, especially as a collective this year, right? But at the same time, it's keeping that potential energy within us, that intention for this new year and towards the spring, is actually keeping like a lightness of being. Because if you have sort of a spring in your step, you'd more likely be able to get around an obstacle or kind of avoid something if it was coming to you, rather than if you're feeling very weighed down, you're feeling very slow, you're carrying a lot on your back because maybe you want to be prepared for whatever it is, but really what ends up happening is you overload yourself. And I feel like this light of heart is giving you, I feel like Spirit wants to give the message like, you will have the tools that you need in the moment. Keep a lightness to your being and being connected to your heart so that you kind of like know intuitively what to expect, and you will be prepared for that. You don't have to be prepared for every single thing. You're gonna know like what it is that you're going to need. So there's a sense of lightness, there's not being weighed down, there's a sense of hope, there's a sense of confidence too. Like, I will get through, whatever it is. So I feel like also this reminds me of how having a sense of humor is so healing. And if you're able to keep a lightness, a sense of humor, a connection to spirit through, and a connection to your own inner energy and feelings, and kind of like knowing what that's guiding you towards, through anything, you are going to be okay. Collectively, we're going to find our way through. For those of us that can kind of follow those more, I don't want to cheapen it by saying like joyful, but it has that feel, that sort of leaping feeling of like, I trust, I'm inspired, I have hope, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, it's like that sort of like a leaping feeling. Yeah. So leap and you will get through. Leap and a net will appear. You don't have to carry everything on your back. You don't have to weigh yourself down. Okay, so I'm gonna now create the mountain around this, and let's look at some practical things that we can be, doing in our life, especially looking at this next moon cycle. All right, so we've got our mountain, which is actually a volcano. But right now we're seeing this as a very like solid mountain, and I'm thinking of this in rows, and I'm especially thinking of this bottom row with the number 4 as being foundation. So here's our solid foundation, here's our starting point. So let's take a look at what the cards are. We have Harvest, which is also like the Judgment card in this deck. We have the 5 of Chalices. We have the 6 of Chalices. And we have the World Tree. Wow. What's interesting is I have this sense of like, there's solid on either side. There's this tree, there's this harvest, there's this earth energy. And in the middle, we have this water, we have this emotions, this like 5 of Chalices, 6 of Chalices, which both have a feeling of sort of, drawing back into the past. The 5 of Chalices often has to do with loss. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people listening to this experienced loss this past year, or even this past moon cycle, since we're looking at moon cycle. I'm sensing year. I'm sensing like we're drawing from, like, our baseline energy is kind of drawing from this last year. And 6 of Chalices also is like looking at the past with nostalgia, and I feel like these things go together. This idea of sort of being drawn backwards, being in a state of sadness, being in a state of even grief. I feel like I'm sensing a lot of grief. And what's interesting though is that on either side we have Judgment, which is this Harvest card, which feels like it's like the hard work and the things that you went through, the toil, that's the word. The toil has like benefits, has like you can reap from that that toil. I don't know if this is making sense, but what you went through has made you stronger, has given you gifts and blessings, right? Then we have the world tree too, which is, the world card, which is like completion, endings. Like, I think an awareness too that like, yes, we can feel drawn back towards these places of loss and thinking of what was or what could have been, but at the same time, like, that cycle has completed. And there's this overall message of like the heartbreak, the sadness, the grief we've been through, the hard times. It actually shows us how much we can survive and how strong we can be. So if you feel kind of pulled back to that, just remember what it is, how much you grew. There's a big feeling of growth here, how much you grew and how much you were able to take away from those experiences and how you made it through, and what your bountiful harvest was. Do you know what I mean? What ways are you a more compassionate person towards others? What ways have you proven to yourself how strong you can be for yourself? What tools did you pick up along the way that were helpful? These are all of those questions. So instead of feeling like you might be starting, if you think of your foundation as being kind of watery, kind of difficult to stand on, it's not that, because you look at what's surrounding it. You know what I mean? Let's go to this next row, which is 3. So this feels kind of like a magical number, a spiritual number. So what comes up from this? We have the 5 of Wands. We have the King of Pentacles. And, whoa, so this feels like this has to do with relationships and other people, because we have the Lovers, we have the Lady and the Lord card, and we have the 5 of Wands, which I feel like it's this is very indicative of kind of dealing with the energy of other people, and oftentimes a sense of comparison, a sense of maybe even competition, or of like, I feel like with 5 of Wands energy, there's often a feeling of like there's limited resources or energy available, and you kind of have to like prove yourself that you are worthy of that. But the King of Pentacles here is saying like there is enough to go around, and you have established your place as worthy. I feel like connecting to gratitude is really important here. With this Harvest card and look at the King of Pentacles, look at the center of the mountain. The center of the mountain is this like strong Capricorn earth energy. Once again, it's like, even if you aren't feeling that way, even if you're kind of maybe even still dealing with the aftermath of stuff, I feel like with the Lovers card and the 5 of Wands is that you might be dealing with like stuff with other people and dynamics and feeling kind of like pulled in different directions or have certain obligations, but in reality at the center it's you and your truth that is the most important. So I feel like something I want to say too is, as we're kind of like starting out this new year and thinking about our goals and intentions, is make sure that they are aligned with your truth rather than the expectations of other people, or what you feel like maybe you owe other people, or what people like what people put on you or kind of pull you towards. No, this is a continuous realignment back to yourself. You are the solid earth energy at the center. Your truth is what matters, and having confidence and like really valuing that as the king energy, as like the unmovable, your truth doesn't waver. It's not swayed by other people. Your truth is your truth. That's what I'm trying to say. And it's absolutely worthwhile. Your place of being, your mountain, is like your purpose is your truth. I hope this is making sense. Like, I'm trying to figure out how to word this. Everyone is aligning, hopefully, with their truth. Everyone has that at the center of their mountain. And so you must care for yours, because that, like, if you don't, who else will, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Let's see what the next 2 cards are on top of this. Oh, wow, we have the Lord of Shadows. That's the Death card, and the King of Athames. So another king and the Death card. I think that instead of, once again, we want to keep lightness, right? That's at the bottom of this. Instead of adding things on, this moon cycle in this new year, I think that you're actually being asked to take away what doesn't serve and take away what doesn't align with this truth. I think that collectively, at least, that's what's happening. We want to lighten our load this year. And there might be room for things if you are looking to like add in things. I'm certainly looking to add in certain habits and stuff, but there's way more actually that I think that I'm stepping away from and I'm getting rid of to make room, because that's the thing. You want to make room for your truth. And we might be at different degrees of how much of our like genuine, what's healthy for us, what's good for us, what we want to do, what our purpose is. We're at different degrees of how much we've allowed that to hold space and be of value in our life. You know what I mean? And so all of us are in a place of lightening our load, but if you've deprived yourself of this, then you will also want to be making space to add that in. Does that make sense? So it's not like, oh, you can only get rid of stuff and not add stuff in, but instead it's saying like, this is about making space. This is about simplifying and making room. Arthur just came in from playing in the snow with Lars. You probably heard him. I just went and shut the door. But perfect timing to see our final card, which is the very top of the mountain. And this is something that's going to be blown off when the volcano erupts, right? Which is more so spring. So right now, once again, we're setting the stage for that energy coming in the spring. So let's see what's at the top. And I feel like with these two cards, it's making me feel like this is what's going to be that, what indicates maybe something we need to release. And I wonder if it's going to be a process. If this is something to release throughout this moon cycle, to begin the process, but it's going to take some time. Four of Chalices, interesting. So we're releasing disappointment. We're releasing also distraction, because this is such a card of kind of being focused on, once again, losses. And wow, her eyes, okay, if we set this here, her eyes are looking down towards where the Five of Chalices is. So this is losses, okay? So she's looking towards what she's lost rather than seeing the blessings coming in through the door. And the traditional, Rider-Waite-Smith image of this card is like there's an angel in the sky, but instead the person's kind of focused on these like cups on the ground that just aren't fulfilling. It's like stagnant water. So with our lightness of being, we want to move towards living water, and so living water would be what is alive and nourishing and present in our current phase and current time, not stagnant water that's been sitting around for a very long time that we, they're like, maybe it's emotions we've held on to, losses. We keep bringing ourselves back to losses rather than seeing the potential energy, right? Or maybe even old inspirations that like it was inspiring at that time, but now time has passed, we're in a different place, and you don't need to hold on to that as an obligation. You don't have to do that anymore if you don't want to. Even if it was inspiring in the past, maybe that water's been sitting around and it's stale. Maybe it's time to clean out that cup. And with time, maybe it'll refill with fresh living water and you'll be ready to like approach that project or whatever it is again. But yeah, this is about getting rid of those stagnant dishes of water that are lying around, especially in the emotional sphere. So, and in doing so, you're going to feel so light. You're going to allow room for those blessings to come in. So this is what we're getting rid of. And I see this as a process, this moon cycle, definitely. And then it's also going to, I think, continue until like the Aries season is, at least the Aries season, I feel like is when we return to the fire. And that's when our volcano goes boom, and out comes our lightness of heart. and our inspirations and that like living energy for what is potent and present at this time. So yeah, I really hope that this resonated, and we are now going to make our full moon spread, and the January moon is the wolf moon. It's going to be on the 25th. So let's see how these messages transform into the second half of the cycle. So I'm calling on the energy of Mother Wolf. We did this spread last year, if you remember it. But I was thinking about the main energies that I connect to with this archetype of the Mother Wolf. And it's something to protect. So we're going to pull a card for something to protect, something to nourish, and something to howl at the moon, which could be like a big expression or a big release. So yeah, this moon is going to be in Leo tropical and in Cancer Vedic. So it also kind of feels like this mothering energy with the Cancer, the Mother Wolf, but then that's that release and expression of Leo as we howl at the moon. So it's going to carry all of those energies. All right, so let me pull the cards. All right, so we have our cards pulled, and we're going to start with the energy of what it is we need to protect. So we're going to bring in that Mother Wolf protective energy for this full moon, the wolf moon. And we have here also 2 tarot cards to go with it, a main energy and an underlying energy. So we have broomstick cleansing. This makes so much sense with our spread earlier. Oh, which is another reason why I wanted to do the videos this way, is because I feel like the new moon and the full moon readings really speak to each other. So anyway, we need to protect this time of cleansing. So this time of release. I wonder if as we're releasing things, especially emotional things, I wonder if what I'm getting is like people who are tied to those emotions, or who are resonant with those emotions with us, want us to hang on to them, either because they're involved in it, maybe there's this sort of trauma bond with what occurred, or they're connected to you because they resonate with that energy. And if you are releasing it, and if you are moving forward with inspiration, then it kind of shines a light on them. Either they feel like they can't quite relate to you anymore, it kind of shows like that maybe they need to be releasing some of that stagnancy as well, some of those old disappointments and loss. So this is really interesting, protecting your energy of cleansing. Let's see what the tarot cards say. Oh, what? We have the Queen of Athames. So just like we had the King of Athames and that confident cutting things off, the Queen of Athames, for one, this feels like connected with this energy of the Mother Wolf, but also like a sort of continual tending to it. So it's like, all right, in our new moon reading, we had the King of Swords. King of Swords basically saying this is what needs to go, cut. But the Queen recognizes this is an ongoing process, just like we were talking about, right? And this is like a constant tending, like if you're thinking about tending to plants and you're constantly sort of cutting back what needs to go. I know there's a word for that, and I'm blank on it. But yeah, so it has a similar energy to the King of Swords, which is so crazy because that's what we got before. But this is saying, hey, you have to protect this because it's a continual process, and you're gonna get pushback on it, And our underlying energy for it, is the King of Wands. So it's remembering that purpose and continuing the confidence of the King. We've had almost every king come out for this moon cycle, by the way. This is big energy. This is big, you in your purpose, sitting on your throne kind of energy. But yeah, this is having the confidence, but also remembering the fire that's beneath that mountain we were talking about before, that drive, that the purpose from Sagittarius that is going to sort of explode in Aries as a new beginning and a new start of some kind. And you are once again, you're carving out the path, you're tending the road that leads to that, you know? So the fire of this card feels connected to that. Wow, that's gorgeous. Let's see what it is we're nurturing. Patience. Trout lily, patience. So yeah, nurturing patience. Once again, it feels like this card wouldn't come up if you weren't going to be met with challenges again and again. But it's not something to weigh you down and something to dread, right? This is something to have the patience of the regalness here, of the king and the queen. Have the patience and the confidence and the diligence to just kind of keep doing it and keep tending to those things. And you're nurturing patience because, you know, there might have been points too. Oh, and this feels still connected to this idea of the new year, probably around this time. This is gonna be the 25th of the month. This is often the time, right, where we're dropping off of our New Year's like resolutions or goals or whatever they might be. And we're like, oh wait, we weren't perfect. Well, I'll wait till next year, or, you know, whatever it is. And it's like, no, have patience with yourself. Allow yourself to drop the ball and get back on. Like, you're nurturing and you're building this sense of patience too. And that's really important for the like foundation of what's to come in the spring as well. So we have the Nine of Pentacles as the main energy with this, which it feels like, once again, it's like, what do you value? What are your dreams? And it takes, you have to build it brick by brick. But that doesn't mean that every single brick has to be perfect or laid perfectly. You might like learn over time, but you're not going to get there. You're not going to get to your place of dreams, your desire, your like ideal kind of like lifestyle and way of being or business that aligns with your purpose or whatever it is, if you don't allow yourself the patience to get through all of those obstacles and to make those mistakes. The underlying energy here is the Seven of Chalices. So this idea of kind of feeling out choice intuitively. And I get the sense like you're going to have to try, like, make different choices. Your first choice and intention is not necessarily going to be what works, right? Because of this patience. So you're gonna have to kind of try different things and feel them out, and be willing to let go of the stale cups, right? Just like we were talking about before. Okay, amazing. Now let's see what it is that we howl at the moon. The parrot. Oh, interesting. I'm gonna actually go ahead and read it because I love this deck and I love connecting to the energy, and also like it has a very like expressive, like poetic way of saying it. So I think if we're howling this at the moon, then let's read the message from the deck. Okay. Oh wow, and it is number 25, which is the date that this full moon is gonna be. So this is the point. The full moon point is the point to howl this at the moon, to express whatever this is. It says, I am parrot, the fierceness of color and the flash of life. I am the climax of magical color and the blending of light and shadow. Climax, this is so fitting for a full moon too. I am the bridge of communication. I will mimic you, teaching you the proper use of integration and expression. Interesting. I am the power of words and the effects of speech. What I wanted to say really fast with the mimicking though, is it feels like I will mimic you. It's like you're gonna, whatever the choices that you make, the things that, you know, you're, each brick by brick that you're laying, you're gonna have coming back at you the sort of reverberation of that, or the repercussion of that, and you're gonna feel that. So it's like, here's the energy I put out, and here's the echo. And when the echo comes back, you decide, okay, is this right for what I'm doing or not? And be willing to discard what isn't, right? Okay. I can learn your voice with as much ease as you can learn mine. Words are portals in time, framing the evolution of verbal magic. There are no barriers except those created by humanity. I feel like you're supposed to write something out and literally say it out loud with your voice or sing it or something on this full moon. I feel like this could be kind of setting up a suggestion of a ritual that you could do, you know, especially because like we were talking about, you might be keeping a lot of things inside and potential energy inside. And this full moon is a chance to really like put it out there and say what it is, you know? We are all different colors of the same spectrum. This may be a time to clear your throat and let your voice sing out. Wow. Clearing. Oh, and you know what? It's coming to mind too, since this is the full moon and after this is the waning moon, maybe this is the time where that action is really taking place. Like maybe during the new moon, first half of the moon cycle, you're kind of thinking about what needs to be cleared out and assessing. And then the second half, you're choosing, you're releasing, you're doing it for the waning moon. I am flamboyant and dazzling. I want to be seen. I yearn to be heard. How very Leo too, right? For the Leo full moon. It is time to break down the walls and explore the vastness of your own brightness. Integrate everything you hear around you. So I think incorporating creativity during this time will be really nice. And it's right before Imbolc, which is kind of like the beginning, the seeds of new creations in the spring. So yeah, really tap into that creative energy this full moon as well. And then lastly, it says, integrate everything you hear around you. You are dazzling, you are expressive, you are free-spirited, you are parrot. So it feels like freeing yourself from those things that are weighing you down, tying you down. And what it makes room for is more expression, more creativity, more of what aligns with your purpose and your truth at the center. So our main energy with this is the Three of Wands. Okay, so if you're kind of waiting to actually like really get going in an action sense, I think this full moon will be the time that you can begin to really like start taking action. And the underlying energy is the Witch, which is the Magician card. So your magic, what you put out there this full moon will be heard and reverberations will come back, you know? Gosh, I love the story of these two like moons and how the entirety of the moon cycle is actually kind of setting us up for spring, but in a really solid and a really inspiring way. So I hope that you got a lot out of this. Please let me know. If you want either or both of these spreads personally for you, we will do them as close as possible on the weekdays to the new moon and to the full moon, both on Twitch and YouTube. That is the plan. So I hope to see you there. And this new year, oh, I should also mention, because if you're watching this premiere, then starting tomorrow, I will be doing the Tea Time Tarots. So the Tea Time Tarot live streams will hopefully be the same time on weekdays, 1 to 2:30 p.m. 1 to 2:30 p.m. Eastern. That's when my son is going to have his quiet time, so I'm going to try to keep that a very regular schedule. It's a little bit shorter than they, were before, so we'll have to kind of like really get the readings in that we're going to do probably at the beginning of the stream, and but they're more often. So there will be like maybe less readings available per stream, but they happen more often, so and more regularly. So I really hope that this works for people, and do let me know what you think. Also, hello to anyone watching this as the premiere. Thank you all so much for being here. Happy upcoming moon cycle. Let me know in the comments below what your intentions are, and I will see you in the next video. Please like and subscribe. I forgot to say that. All right.